G'day there, everybody in, where are we? The tool shed, the builder's tool shed. Scott and I have had 3 goes, and if we count tonight, 4 goes, because this is the second time tonight at doing this video, and it's a really important video, so that's why we're persevering to do this. So please watch this video through to its conclusion, because it'll be really important, and we want your feedback on it, and we want your comments. And so what it's all about is you may or may not be aware that in the tool shed there is a room that is called a safe place to land. And in that room, it's basically a space where our Builders Business Black Belt members, male members, can get access to. So it's a male-only thing at the moment. And Scott goes in and every Monday they have this thing called the Monday Mash, which is it's just an opportunity to talk about the things that very rarely is there a space to talk about. And it's been absolutely amazing. I'll get Scott to talk about, you know, the value of it and so forth in just a minute. But why we're doing this video is that it has become obvious to me, at least, and Scott agrees, that it really doesn't matter how good the Blueprint program is and how good the Black Belt program is. If you are under pressure, if you're under some sort of financial distress, which is a very emotional thing, if something's going on relationship-wise, if something's going on health-wise, if you've just got stress, it's very difficult to concentrate on something and work on something. And so the idea is, like, we just felt that we had to create a space where people could talk about what's on their mind and what's putting pressure on them and all of that sort of stuff. So we can potentially help, but again, we'll talk about that. It's not about creating solutions. It's just about being able to be heard in a safe place without judgment. And we've had such amazing results from a safe place to land. We want to roll this out to the tool shed at large. And there's a bunch of things that we'll talk about in this conversation that we want your opinion on. We want you to comment and go, that's a load of crap, or that would be awesome, or do it this way or do it that way, so we can get your feelings on, you know, is this a worthwhile thing and how should it work? So, Scott, what has been your experience in the safe place to land, and why is this so important to you?
Yeah, giddy up, Mick. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to have a safe place to land. It's a very important place to me. Throughout the years, I've had the opportunity of a lot of different growth, but one of my biggest areas of growth was actually working with suicidal men. And I got the opportunity to sit with people who were in a lot of pain. And the really common factor between all of those conversations was the fact that they actually didn't have anywhere safe to actually have a conversation about the things that were going on for them. And those things can be anything, through money issues, family issues, drug issues. It could be absolutely anything. And one of the things I've learnt more than anything else through that period is to just sit and listen. We don't have to have the answers. We just need to decompress our brains. The most valuable real estate we have is between our ears. And if we don't own it, something or someone else does. The building industry is a fantastic industry. It's something that I've loved being a part of. I spent 27 years in the swimming pool industry and I loved it. I loved the stuff we built. I loved the relationships we built. I love, you know, the families that had the opportunity to, you know, spend more time together because we built them a swimming pool. But it comes with problems. It comes with a lot of things we don't see happening, you know, and that's could be weather, could be guys being sick, could be anything that goes on. That's just the building side of things, let alone what's going on at home, what's going on, you know, with family, what's going on with your mates. So what do you talk about that? Where do you get the opportunity to talk about what's actually going on inside your life? To sit there with an unbiased opportunity to actually just go, thank you for sharing that. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Sounds really hard. How are you feeling about that? Just asking questions to get a better understanding about what's going on for you. I'm not trying to fix anything, but quite often what happens is we're sitting there and we're just opening up the conversation. Things come up. Things you haven't seen, things you needed to see, things you need to feel. Don't necessarily have to have solutions, but it takes it from here, puts it out, helps you compartmentalize little bits and pieces. I'm so grateful for the opportunity for the guys to come in and actually share what's going on inside their lives. And it's, it's not all negative too, which is something that, we talk about emotional fitness, Mick, you and I. We talk a lot about emotional fitness, the time between incident and response, and how we respond to bits and pieces. And emotional fitness is actually being able to go, oh, I'm feeling this. How do I need to respond? Because with this emotion heightened, am I going to give the best response? So what is it I'm feeling? Why am I feeling it? Get curious in that. All of a sudden you're in curiosity. Curiosity, you haven't got the heightened emotion. You're looking for the different things. So then you're able to explain that better. You're able to have a better conversation because you're not dumping your emotions in a situation. And I love that. I love that opportunity. So, Mick?
Yeah. Well, I'll just jump in and say, like, emotional fitness is kind of measured the same way as physical fitness. You get your heart rate up to 185 beats per minute. How long does it take you to get back to a resting heart rate? The quicker that happens, the fitter you are. Same sort of thing with emotion. Someone does something, pulls out in front of you in the traffic, whatever it might be, and does it ruin your whole day, or do you go and you sort of you let it go pretty easily? And the cool thing about this that I've learned over the years is it is a skill. It's not a gift. It's like you hear people saying, "Yeah, geez, that guy's an angry guy," or "That guy's a calm guy." It's not. I guess it was part of the environment when you were growing up, but that's in the past. Understand now it's a skill, and just like hitting a golf ball, you've got to practice it. And folks, we're the only animals on the planet that have a gap in between stimulus and response. So something happens, there is a gap, and then there's a response. And the more often you get into that gap and think about what's going on and just give it some space and begin to learn how to choose your response, the easier that becomes, just like hitting a golf ball. But if you don't spend any time in that gap, if you just fly off the handle every time something happens, or get really sad or whatever, frustrated every time something happens, the gap heals over like a wound, it just and you can't get in there. So, it's good news. But the main thing is that we want to get your feedback as to, is this something that you would like to see in the tool shed? Is it something that you would see as valuable? From my perspective, because I don't participate in the Safe Place to Land inside Builder's Business Black Belt for a very specific reason, because I am the business coach. I used to try and be everything to everyone and found out that was crap. And, you end up being useless to everyone by trying to do that. So we get other people involved who are what I would call specialists and have great skills in those areas. And Scott has been very gracious in running the Safe Place to Land. And why I'm telling you that I'm not involved is because I am involved in speaking to the Black Belt members on a daily basis, and you can tell that some of them are under the pressure or what have you, and they start showing up to a Safe Place to Land, and then after a day or a week or whatever, you can tell things are changing, things are getting better. And the feedback that I get, people, they don't tell me what's going on, but they say this is amazing. It's so good to have a place like this. So we want your feedback. We want your thoughts and feelings about this, because in my mind, it's becoming the most important part of black belt that we need to focus on, because I've always believed that until and unless the business owner is right, the business never will be. So we've got to create this space to be able to jump into some conversations in a safe place without judgment, often without a solution. Just to get it off your chest, really, I guess.
Well, it's funny, because there is so many conversations we need to have in life. If we choose to have those conversations, we choose to go through them. Practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes progress, right? If we continually make progress, we continually improve everything that goes on for us. And it's the conversations that sometimes we don't have that we need to have, but where can we have those conversations? They're the ones that make a significant difference in your life. I don't believe there's any conversation you can't have. I think it's just about finding the right place. So far in A Safe Place to Land, we've covered so many different topics, so many different things that have gone on. And one of the options that I have in my life is the Campfire Project, where I have discussions with experts from all around the world about all different subjects. Now, I've spoken to women about menstruation. I've spoken to 5 women about does size matter, talking about penis size. I've talked about suicide. I've talked about triggers, what to do if we're triggered, how to work through triggers. Conversations that are really important to you being able to be the best version of you, so that you can implement the things you need to implement in your life to get the most out of it. And that's not just in work. That's with your kids. That's with your wife. That's with your mates. That's with your dreams. What are the conversations I need to have with myself so I can get to where I want to get to? How am I going to do that? Okay, well, let's get a collective of men sitting together to listen to one another. And that's the biggest key to A Safe Place to Land, is actually the listening. And this is something that I love so much. Because when somebody's got the floor, they have the floor. They're speaking and we hold the space. Zoom platform gives us the opportunity for everyone else to be mute so they can just talk. One of the greatest tools we use in there is silence. Because so often when we're having a conversation, someone comes up with an idea and jumps in over the top, and you actually forget what you're talking about because you go to that focus and you can completely get sidetracked. So one of the things is, when somebody finishes speaking, we sit, we wait, make sure there's nothing else to be said. Excuse me. And that is such an important thing, because so often the gold that comes out of somebody is, once they've spoken about it, they've sat, they've got that little bit of time to go, oh, and this. Actually, I saw it like this too. That little bit extra, it's just, it makes such a difference in conversation. And one of the greatest places I actually learned that was with Oscar. We're doing a podcast up in Sydney, and we're sitting there, and sitting there with Alan, myself, and Oscar. We're doing a podcast, and Oscar's stumbling through what he had to say. And every part of me wanted to rescue him. Every part of me wanted to say, mate, come on, we got this. But I sat and I waited. But it was my stuff coming up. And what he said in the end was just gold. But I had to wait and let him be him in order for that to happen. So often we put our stuff on top, and that's why A Safe Place to Land is so phenomenal, because it's just about you being you, us accepting you, and having people mirror back their appreciation for you just being there. And just, I wish in time that this grows into the opportunity of understanding where our members are then doing this for others. And we've already had that. And one of the greatest things that came out of the conversation so far is there's an amazing builder who's doing great things. And he actually had the opportunity to speak to one of his community members who'd lost their child. And he sat there with the father and just listened. Went through the scenario. Came home the next day and he shared that. And we were so proud of him for holding that conversation so that he could speak. Imagine if that was what it was like in your community, where people were safe enough to speak to you so that you could hold space so that your whole community benefits. That was one of my proudest moments inside this. And he put it all down to the fact that he's been an active member inside a Safe Place to Land. So he learnt how to listen. Because so often, and Mick, you'll be a testament to this, communication has nothing to do with the words that we're dumping on other people. Has everything to do about being heard. You feel heard, you listen, you feel appreciated, you feel stronger. We're all stronger when we're heard. Mick?
That's kind of what's going on. I think it's important to unpack the why. You called the other night when we tried to do this video the first time. That didn't work. We had some audio issues, but you called me because you'd just been aware that the I think it was the CEO of Metricon committed suicide. Yep. Since then, you sent me a newspaper clipping. You know, you might want to share what was in that newspaper clipping about how many business insolvencies there has been in the last little while. I've got it here on my phone if you can't find it.
Well, look, I know there's between November, December, January, there's 106 builders going to insolvency. That's just January, that 3-month period. They're expecting things to get a lot worse.
This one, the thing that you sent me here, it says there were 342 building and construction insolvencies in Victoria from April 2021 to March 2022, with 40 in March. That's just in Victoria. And, you know, this is why we need to do this, because it's I know that there are certain things that that you can't control, but there are many that we can, and just being able to get things off your chest so you can have a different perspective, again, gets you into that gap, allows you to make different decisions, which gives you better results and so forth. So, you know, this is the important thing. And you've been in that space for a while, and I know you're very passionate about helping people to, you know, to avoid things ending up that way. It's very, very serious, either with a suicide or, you know, losing your business.
Suicide's the ultimate price paid, and I have a very strong opinion on this. I think if you know somebody or have been a part of a community that someone has committed suicide, you know the impact. But how do you honour them? How do you make sure it counted? Don't let it not count. You honour them by choosing to have the conversations you need to have, by finding a safe place to have those conversations. You honour them by working through the stuff that you need to work through. Sometimes it's not about having the answers. Sometimes it's just about just starting the process. And the process sometimes takes time, but you need to be in amongst the right people. I myself have been through a business bust up, and it was the most painful thing that I've been through. Financially, relationship-wise, circle of friends-wise, just all those relationships that I just was so important to me. I was very grateful I had Paul Purden, who's also a part of A Safe Place to Land, to hold me through that and just help me have the conversations I needed to have. You know, like this is the experience of the group. We're not, there's success, there's lessons. They all teach us, and when we come together, we're all so much stronger. Life happens, things happen you don't see coming at you. You can't change those things, but you do get to choose how you respond.
Yeah.
You either get the pain,
And
the lesson, or the opportunity. And if you can go through all three and grow out the other side, that's the key. That's the key. Because the problem's not the problem, it's how you respond to the problem. That's the opportunity. Mick?
yeah, and that's part of why we're doing this video is about response. Like, we want you to respond. Jump in the comment section under this video and tell us what your thoughts are about this. Whether you think it's important, whether you think it's not. Like, if you don't think it's important, tell us. If you do think it's important, tell us. We're kind of thinking at this point that we would need, to begin with, a guys group, a guy-only group in the tool shed, but we don't want to leave anyone out, so we're thinking that we would have a ladies group as well, separated, but then at some stage it may be worthwhile to get everybody together. But I think we need to create those different environments so we can create a comfort zone, an area of comfort for different people, because guys wouldn't, be comfortable talking with girls and vice versa, and about certain things, but then other things, it would be great to have a conversation about that. I did a hot seat with Rachel Stevens last week, and it came out on Saturday, and it was all about spouses getting sucked in to their spouse's business. It's not their business, but they get sucked into it, and sometimes they don't like it. They are doing a function in the business because it's cheaper that way. We're keeping it all in house, save you employing somebody. So, quite often the wife is doing something and they're not even getting paid for it, and all this sort of stuff. And I think it would be great to have an environment where each party could understand from the other person's perspective to make it better, because we're finding that they don't. The guys don't know what's going on. The girls don't know what's going on with the guys and what they're going through sometimes. And I think just by being able to understand what the other partner is going through can fix so many problems. So yeah, we'd like to have all of those groups. So we want your feedback. We want your response on that. So anything that you want to say in wrapping this up before we sort of go, you guys tell us what you want, and then we'll kind of get to work. I've already created one room. I don't know whether you know that, Scott. You came up with, what was the name of it? You came up with a sexy name, and I've already created it.
A Safe Place to Land.
No, we created a new one now.
Oh, we already created that, have we?
Life in Construction Conversations. It already exists. It's already there.
Oh, is it already on? All right, giddy up. It's
already there. There's already one person in there, and it's not you. Oh, there's two people in there, and neither of them are you. So you need to get your act together.
God, I better get onto that. So, but I do want to grab that, right? Because Life in Construction Conversations, right? You look at construction. We've got plumbers, electricians, chippies, we've got excavator drivers, we've got plumbers, we've got builders, wives, we've got insurance companies, we've got architects, we've got construction industry is a massive industry. And one of the things that I believe is the most important thing is if we can learn to understand each other, we can learn to work better together. We learn to work better together, we have a lot less pressure. And the way to do that is to sit in the conversations and actually take the time to hear one another. So With those conversations, though, I do believe that we need to practice them in a safe environment before we take them to the floor. So I would love to see the guys, the girls, and then together. I would love to see the chippies, the plumbers, the builders, architects together. Have different conversations so that we can understand the needs of each other. We've got to understand our own needs before we can share them, though. That is the biggest key to clear and open communication, is understanding our own needs, so then we can give them to others to understand what we need and what we do, so then we can hear back. Mick, you had something to say then?
Oh, well, I'm just reaffirming what you said. I don't know how many conversations I've had with builders who are shit canning trades, and then tradespeople shit canning the builders, and it's like, dude, we got to come together, because when we do, it's going to be better for everybody. And I think the best thing that you've said is just, before you can share your thoughts, you've got to clear them up yourself. You've got to get some clarity yourself and understand, really what you want and what your priorities are and so on. And having these conversations is going to help. So let's get her done.
Yeah, giddy up. For me, everybody watching this, I really do want your responses, and I don't care how ugly they are. I've got thick skin. But it's really important that you put your cards on the table, because we want to bring you our best. And our best comes from you giving us feedback so that we know how to do that. It's one of the best things that I actually learned from Mick was to do it ugly. We started a safe place to land because we felt it was right. Yeah, we're having conversations in construction, right? We're going to have them all. We're not going to miss them. We're going to have them all. And they're going to be there for us to grow through. So I want to know what you want to hear. I want to know how you want to hear it. And I want criticism from you, because I'm happy to learn. So thank you. Yep. Thank you for being here.
Okay, folks, that is it for us. Please get into the comments section and tell us what your thoughts are, any suggestions, anything at all, because we genuinely want to make the Builders Tool Shed an amazing, irresistible environment that is incredibly supportive and valuable for builders and other trades-based businesses to hang around. We want to make it an amazing environment. And the only way we can do that is with your help. So we need to know what's currently pressing on you. What are your current desires? And then we can sort of figure out what might need to be either created, or some training, or some workshops, or some tools, or whatever that we need to help. But we need your feedback to be able to do that. So jump in the comments. Let's hear it. I think that is all from us, isn't it?
It is. Thank you very much, Mick, and thank you to everyone being a part of this conversation.
Yeah. Can't wait to hear your responses. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.